Welcome back, villagers! Us parents like to discuss baby and kid poop for some reason, right? But at the same time, it's something we don't really talk about enough. And diarrhea in babies and toddlers is so common, I thought we should have a discussion about it. So first, we'll talk about why your baby or toddler is having diarrhea, and then I'll tell you some things that you can do to help them. I'm Jade, and this is my village. Let's start with, why is this diarrhea stuff happening? Ew! Diarrhea is just the body's way of ridding itself of germs, and most episodes will last a few days to 2 weeks, and diarrhea can occur with fever, nausea, vomiting, cramps, dehydration, even rashes. Sometimes I wonder how so much poop can come out of such a tiny body, right? For reals. And then when it's loose and mushy and runny, oh, no fun. But it's actually quite common in toddlers, and it's just a symptom of something. It's not an actual disease. But how do you know if toddler diarrhea is afflicting your little angel? Well, the poop will be stinky, of course, and could even have mucus or chunks of food in it. It's considered toddler diarrhea if it's been over a month, they've had it at least 3 times, and it doesn't hurt them. It's considered severe diarrhea if it's happening really very often. And these symptoms are most common amongst children from 6 months old to 3 years old, although it can sometimes last until 5 years old even. However, 90% of kids have stopped having it by 3 years old. So I think we have a pretty good idea of what diarrhea is now. Now let's talk about why this might be happening. And then we'll go over what exactly you can do to help your little toddler or baby. So, what's actually causing this mushy poop? Well, doctors think that it can be several things, like diet, which we'll talk a lot about in a minute, food going through the colon just too quickly, gut bacteria, food poisoning, viral infections, dehydration, or lots of physical activity. Sometimes food can travel through that digestive system so quickly, which means that there's not enough time for the body to absorb the water, which makes the poop watery. And we have a ton of bacteria in our intestines, but sometimes they can actually loosen up the poop. And at other times, our tiny humans might just have an infection, be sick, viral, bacterial, but this kind of diarrhea is not the free and painless kind. That usually comes with the fever, vomiting, headache, stomachache, and can last up to 2 weeks. So don't force them to eat during that time. Just let them go back to their normal diet once they're good and ready. And something you may not know, this kind of diarrhea can be very contagious. So make sure that the whole family doesn't end up spending a week on the toilet. Just be sure to wash your hands after you wipe your toddler or change your diaper, of course. But if your little angel is otherwise healthy, seems fine, they likely just have toddler diarrhea, for which there is no cure and no medicine needed. However, there are some things that us superhero parents can do to help them. So let's move on to food. That's the best place to start really when talking about remedies for this, because if your child just has diarrhea once, twice, it's probably because of what they ate. If diarrhea is happening often, then you might be able to decrease the frequency by making some key changes to that diet. The most common culprit is juice. Too much fructose, sorbitol is a recipe for diarrhea. And of course, there's the famous fiber. If they don't eat much fiber or fat, that can actually lead to diarrhea too. What? If your little angel has diarrhea all the time and it's watery, just give them plenty of water and milk to replace those fluids and calories that they're losing in the diarrhea. Because losing too much fluid can make them dehydrated. Now remember, no juice or sports drinks or Kool-Aid or soda. And they can have liquids like Pedialyte if they are dehydrated. But we'll talk about hydration right after we talk about diet, okay? So if they're vomiting and can't really drink, then popsicles, broth, jello, that can be their temporary fluids. If they can eat, they should be eating, but stick to starchy foods, bread, crackers, rice, potatoes, pasta, dry cereal, eggs, and yogurt. Easily digestible choice, get some protein in there. But if the stools are just loose, not super watery and they're not happening so frequently, then they can almost really just stay on their regular diet because normally the diarrhea will just go away with time. You might be able to stiffen up those poops though in the meantime by adding some of those starchy foods that I just mentioned and drinking water. As a general rule though, 8 ounces of juice or less a day is plenty. And keep in mind too that some foods actually make our stools looser, like beans, they make you too. You probably know that tune. So stay away from those for now. Also, you may have heard of probiotics, and they can add healthy bacteria in the intestines. So buy some yogurt, unless that causes them gas or bloating. But the yogurt should say active culture on it because that means that there's live bacteria inside. Give that to them twice a day. They also sell probiotics that can be taken as a supplement if you prefer. But there's no proof that these are effective, but some people really swear by them, especially if the diarrhea is being caused by antibiotic medicine. If you suspect that certain foods are linked to the diarrhea, just keep a food diary, track what they're eating so that you have something to show to the doctor, and it'll be easier to figure out if your child has allergies like mine does or some other food intolerances. It could also be that some foods or spices just aren't agreeing with him right now. So you can try some more bland foods like white meats, those starches that we talked about, plus bananas, pancakes, cooked veggies. You can try adding some healthy fats too, like olive oil, dairy, avocados. Now, what foods should you not be eating? Anything fried, greasy, processed. That means donuts, sausages, pastries, soda, fast foods. Yes, all the best things about life. And again, no juice. It and other sugary things just pull more fluid into the intestines, which loosen the stool. And if dairy's causing the problem, then put that on the do not eat list too. But let's not forget about those gas-causing foods like broccoli, peas, prunes, chickpeas, corn, beans, peppers, green leafy vegetables. Remember, there's no reason to worry about the diarrhea if your tiny human is hydrated and eating and acting normally. It's worse for you than it is for them. Okay, let's talk about that dehydration because that is a real problem when diarrhea is involved. And you can talk to your doctor about how much fluids, what type, when to give them to them, all those details for the serious dehydration. But you can watch for signs of that dehydration in order to prevent that. So before it gets so serious that you need a doctor. So look for symptoms like no tears when they cry, dry mouth, faster heartbeat, sunken eyes, being weak or dizzy, not peeing for 3 or more hours, and my favorite, the color of the urine. Here, they learn about the color of their pee-pee as soon as they can see it in the potty. My 2-year-old goes, "Yay, clear pee-pee!" Or, "Oh, my pee-pee's too yellow, I need to drink some water right now." So feel free to print out a little urine color chart because the darker it is, the more fluids and salts they need to replace. But what about just picking up something from the drugstore because you're tired of dealing with all this poop drama? I feel you. A quick and easy fix would be nice, but unfortunately, there is no safe and effective drug for this toddler diarrhea. The best strategy is most definitely diet and fluids. If you do plan on using medicines, then you'll want to talk to your pediatrician first, absolutely, especially for the young ones because they could actually be harmful. Like Pepto-Bismol and other medicines like that, they have metals that can accumulate in tiny bodies. But on the other hand, solutions like Pedialyte, Infolite, that can replace fluids and have just enough sugar to not worsen the diarrhea. Even if they only have a few sips every 20 minutes, it's fine. There are a few other things too that can come along with diarrhea, like diaper rash. Even for an older child that uses the toilet just fine, that area near the anus can become red and irritated. You want to wash that area after each poop. Put some Vaseline, some diaper cream, something on it so that the skin has a barrier to protect it. And if your little angel's still in diapers, then that's especially important to do when they are sleeping. Changing the diaper the instant they poop will also be very helpful. And speaking of diapers, you might have some blowouts where that diaper cannot contain the watery poop, so it explodes and gets all over their body and clothes and maybe whatever they're sitting on at the time. And it can get messy, for sure. You can put on some plastic pants or baby underwear, I forget what they're called, over the diaper to trap some of that watery poop, or put a cotton washcloth inside the diaper, absorb some of the water. And I don't want to scare you, But this next part, severe dehydration is dangerous and can cause all sorts of bad things to happen to our children. So if you see those signs of dehydration that we talked about, then you should call the doctor. You should also call a doctor if your child is under 6 months old. Oh, this is another list, by the way, so get ready. If they've had diarrhea all day for several days, or mild diarrhea for more than 2 weeks, has a fever that won't break, bloody, mucousy stool, has lost weight, has green or yellow vomit, can't hold anything down, poop is black, has had chronic or frequent diarrhea for a week, or if they have a rash. Hopefully you said no to all those things and you don't need to see a doctor. Also, I am not a doctor, so don't skip calling the doctor if your gut is telling you to call the doctor, because our gut usually has the right answer, right? And some last notes: if your toddler child has diarrhea just one time, not really worth making changes to their diet. Just wait until you see that they've had several loose stools first. If they have, then extra fluids and eating those foods that we talked about, that's really the best way to help them. And like with most parenting issues, patience is required, because normal stiff poop's not going to happen instantly. You know, my 2 boys, they seem to be opposite in so many ways. They even have opposite poop problems. I kid you not. One child has poop that's too hard. The other child has poop that's too soft. But also, one loves pasta and rice, while the other one prefers meat. So the best I can do is to give them foods to either loosen the poop or stiffen the poop. Who said good parenting was easy? No one, ever. The moral of the story is keep your child hydrated and call the doctor with any questions. So share this video with everyone that's part of a child's life. You never know when diarrhea will strike. Share your own tips and comments in the section below. Let me know if you have questions, struggles. Now hit that subscribe button and the bell for more great parenting tips. And you can go ahead and watch my next video.